families, it's great to be here today for Families Matter, St. Lucie Public Schools Parenting Guide. We are excited to be your host. My name is Rebecca Benton. I am a life skills parent educator with Student Services.
Hi again, I'm Dijon Jackson, Family and Community Outreach Administrator on special assignment for St. Lucie Public Schools. The focus of our show today is to spotlight the arts in St. Lucie Public Schools. It's showtime!
The purpose of Families Matter, St. Lucie Public Schools Parenting Guide, is to give parents and families information about the resources found within our local community. The resources shared could be in the form of people connected to St. Lucie Public Schools, like school counselors, district support personnel, or educators on your child's campus. Or the resources could be found on our St. Lucie Public School website. And it could be in the form of local community agencies that help your child achieve success. You play a pivotal role in the life of your child and children, and as always, our aim is to support you. We are so excited to discuss the artistry found in St. Lucie County.
Now joining us today is a man who knows a thing or two about the arts and how they are alive in St. Lucie County, and a dear friend to Families Matter, Dr. Kevin Perry. He is a district leader within St. Lucie Public Schools and serves as the assistant to the superintendent. We are so excited to have you, Dr. Perry. Can you share a little bit about yourself? It could be educational background or anything you choose to share with our audience.
Your expertise, especially on this topic matter.
Thank you for having me today. As you know, I am a past band and choir director at Fort Pierce Westwood High School. Shout out to the Panthers. Once a Panther, always a Panther. Yes. And I am also the founding principal for Fort Pierce Magnet School of the Arts, now known as CAS. So music, art, dance, drama has always been a part of my life, and it was my career path, as I'm currently, as you mentioned, working as the assistant to the superintendent, but I get to dibble my hands in the arts and artistic kinds of things along the way also.
Oh, we love that.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the arts that connects to you the most, Dr. Perry. Music. Music education is important in all children's lives. As a former band director, and even a band director on occasion.
Currently, right.
Yes. What do you suggest for families to encourage students to explore playing an instrument or finding their voice in a chorus or a choir?
Well, the first thing that I believe is that all students should participate in one or more areas of the arts. That's just the go-to. The arts have always been known to increase academic performance on test scores. It helps with their cognitive functioning. It helps with their sensory skills. It helps with their memory. So the arts kind of help students when they go into music, into language arts, social studies, science, and math. The things that I've been working with them and for them in music, art, dance, and drama, collaboration, teamwork, collegiality, all help them perform better in what we'll call the core subjects, even though the arts are core as well.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely agree with you. Now, we know that music is so important, but the cost of instruments can be expensive. Does St. Lucie Public Schools offer any assistance for students who would like to experience the band or the orchestra?
Very much so. When we look at students basically starting individualized kind of music, because in elementary it's really a group, but playing a specialized instrument, they generally start that in middle school. And traditionally, school districts have provided what we'll call the big instruments, the tuba, the contrabass, clarinet, the baritone horn, the non-traditional. When students would rent to own a flute, a clarinet, a saxophone, a trumpet. But as things have evolved, we're finding that middle schools have been providing what we call the smaller instruments again for students, which means when the student gets to high school, they have to also have that instrument there. So it's there as well, part of the provision that we provide, so that students can be exposed to and participate in the arts, because we have an arts-rich school system.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And are there any community agencies that help support purchasing instruments and things like that?
The prime one that we've had a wonderful partnership probably for the last 15 or so years is Bluebird Education Foundation. They sponsor what we call Recycling in the Key of E, R-I-K-E, the RIGHT program. And of course, Recycling in the Key of E, it's the key music of education. What happens with them, they have some drop-off locations where you might have a clarinet or a saxophone sitting in your house that your student played 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, and it's just sitting there. And you hear about Reich and you say, a student could use that instrument. You drop it off, Bluebird picks it up, and we have a wonderful partner music store that refurbishes them. We send music instruments out every year to be refurbished so that they're in the best working condition possible. New pads, new springs, new corks, whatever the case may be. And then what Wright does is they donate that instrument to the student. So not only, no longer does the student have to rent to own or play a school-owned instrument, they have their very own instrument.
That's awesome. So they can practice. So can you spotlight some of the amazing music programs that we have in St. Lucie Public Schools? And I know I probably will get you in trouble because all of our music programs are amazing in St. Lucie Public Schools.
All the art programs
all
are
of them.
amazing.
Well, let me say it directly to the camera. All of them are wonderful, and I support as many of them as possible. But for the point of answering this question, we're just going to spotlight just a couple of those wonderful programs. I think I would have to start with the Lincoln Park Academy Chorus. They've been under the direction of George Ramming Jr. for the last 20 years, and for 20 years they've made us superior. George has the Singing Greyhounds, which is a middle school group. He has multiple groups at the high school level, Encore, Belvoir, which is his female women's ensemble, just totally wonderful. George is also a graduate of St. Lucie Public Schools. Stay with me. I'm going to talk about Palm Point under the direction of Will Cromer, just doing some wonderful things with that middle school band. Will is also a graduate of St. Lucie Public Schools. Bobby Ingram at Treasure Coast High School, the band is phenomenal. They have a new chorus teacher, Robert Finellis. Both of those young men are also graduates.
We're doing something right here in St. Lucie Public Schools.
Just wonderful opportunities. I think about Jason Hatfield and Jason Albert, who are doing the middle school and high school band at Lincoln Park. Just all over the place. We have some wonderful opportunities in music for students. And I have to mention that our only string program is also at Lincoln Park Academy, and that is for middle school as well as high school students. And they've had a young lady to make all-state orchestra there for the past 6 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing. So you talked about the music programs. What about visual arts?
Oh, again,
all are great. We know that.
Thank you. Let's talk about Lincoln Park Academy, their pottery program. They sponsored the Empty Bowls project. I had the wonderful opportunity of working with the arts teachers across the district, but specifically at Centennial and Fort Pierce Central, who plan what we call our art showcase, where students have an opportunity to display their artwork. It is judged, juried, so they participate in a juried art show, which helps them receive the art seal by the state of Florida. That's one of the requirements. But those students have also had an opportunity to sell some of their artwork.
Oh my goodness.
There's an arts walk, there are theater programs. Just St. Lucie Public Schools is very involved in the arts, very supportive of the arts as well, which lends to opportunities for students in school as well as out.
Now, you talked about the visual arts. What about the theatrical arts? You had mentioned some of the schools specifically, and I know that Bobby Ingram was a graduate of Port St. Lucie High School.
Correct.
And I hear about Port St. Lucie High School and the theater program. In fact, I have a grandchild who's getting ready. He's excited. He's accepted there. So what about the theatrical programs here in St. Lucie County?
Well, we have to start with Port St. Lucie High School.
Yes. Of course.
They are just a stellar world-class program. As much as I love to go to New York to see shows on Broadway, in my mind, they rival a lot of what's happening on Broadway. The teacher there is Patrick Madden. Patrick has been there since day one that the school opened some 36, 37 years ago. Patrick has taken students to New York on a regular basis. In a span of about 7 days, they may see 14 shows.
Wow.
He's taken them to London to see shows. He's taking them to Tokyo to see theater all across the world and expose them. The cool part about it is Asia Downing, she's now the drama teacher at Central High School, another one of our graduates.
I graduated with Asia.
building programs. And I'll have to also mention that an opportunity that's given to all students is a summer musical theater project. I had the wonderful opportunity of starting that project with Patrick Madden 20 plus years ago. And it is open to students in 3rd grade through 12th grade all across the district. They come together, and in the span of about 6 or 7 weeks, they put on a summer musical. This year it's going to be Frozen. So get your tickets early.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause
Get
they
them
are gonna
early. They sell out
Yes.
quickly.
Now, I love the art classes that I took in high school. It was such a great place to relax and be creative while working on something that I really loved. Now, so many of our schools have fantastic art programs of all the arts. Now, let's talk about the benefits of students going to a music class, an visual art class, or a drama class. What ways do art activities encourage students to think creatively and to try new ideas?
When we think about thinking creatively and to try new ideas, the arts are really a safe space for all children to explore
Absolutely.
Self-expression, to foster creativity, just to expose them to explore their ideas, which also helps their critical thinking, problem solving.
Absolutely.
They self-regulate through the arts. It's just a wonderful place where they can navigate through the creative process.
All life skills that you need.
Yes.
Problem solving, regulation, all things you need when you're doing art, when you're doing your academic work, and just from day to day.
Yeah, and social interaction.
Yeah.
Of course, because we think about the collaborative nature of the arts.
absolutely.
In band, you got 40, 50 other folk that you have to collaborate with, think to, listen to. So it's very team-oriented, and the collegiality that also abounds
course.
when you're in those safe spaces also.
I love it.
Absolutely. So when we think about how caregivers can support the arts, how do we have that support happening at home?
Well, when we think about parents, families supporting the arts, first of all, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. I believe all students should participate in one or more areas of the arts. And because of those reasons that we've already given, critical thinking, problem solving, it helps the student be a well-rounded. There are many programs that feature the arts that go on in our schools. Parents can just take their students to see those shows
Of course.
and push them to participate. When we think about cast, they just did Susico the musical. So not only do you have wonderful theatrical programs happening in high schools, but they're also in middle schools when they're doing junior programs. In theater, there's music, there's dancing, there's acting. When a teacher and his students work to create the sets, that's the art part. And then you have access to the Sunrise Theater, the Lyric, where you can go see performances by an orchestra, a musician, as well as theatrical kinds of things. And of course, the Bacchus Gallery is here.
The Highwaymen.
The Highwaymen
Yes.
painting. So you have a wonderful plethora of opportunities and experiences that you could do right here
Oh,
in
absolutely.
St. Lucie County, and it's specifically
At home.
to expose our students to.
I love doing art projects at home with the boys and watching their little chubby little hands grab a paintbrush, and they don't realize all that they're learning while they're just painting or doing stickers or drawing or chalk. It's just so great to see. So how does participating in the arts help children express their feelings, their thoughts, and analyze their work too? That's a big part of being involved in the arts, that's kind of self-reflection.
Well, you just said it. When they're analyzing, they have to sit there and think about, what does this mean, or what was I thinking when I did that, when I drew that. So again, it goes back to that self-expression, which is important for them when they're doing many other things. When we think about the world art therapy, again, that's that self-regulation, to take get in touch with your feelings, or take the pressure off of the world
Escape
from
from
today.
the world.
Major escape through the arts. And of course, the arts are just a safe space for students. There's a collaborative approach with projects that teaches students to appreciate the world that they live in, the world that they're a part of.
Absolutely.
And just think about when a student has an opportunity to create something new.
Oh, it's a great feeling. I remember doing lots of really great activities when I taught kindergarten, because again, same thing when at home when we're doing art, they don't realize that they're learning, because they're just having fun. They're having fun. But I loved it as a kindergarten teacher because we were also working on our fine motor skills. They were grabbing different, size markers or paintbrushes, or we were using our fingers. So how does art, not just visual arts, but playing an instrument, help with fine motor skills?
When we think about fine motor skills, they have to hold the paintbrush just like it's a pencil. When you use a sponge, the texture
Yes,
of
absolutely.
those things that help students begin to express, because it feels different from a paintbrush, and what you're able to create with a pencil or a paintbrush is very different from what you create with the sponge. So just having those opportunities to, first of all, create, analyze, to talk about, to share, how did this come about, this new thing come about, is very important to a development of students, not only in elementary school, but through life, because they will have that same opportunity in the world of work, 21st century skills that they will need, are applicable through, that are learned through participation in the arts.
It's such a safe place also, Dr. Perry talked about safe places, to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Because you can, the line might not go the right way, the color might not look right, the note, but then you can try again. It's such a great way. And if you feel frustrated, well, then add maybe a little bit more of a certain color, or play a little louder.
Well, because it's yours, there's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
Right.
It's yours. And then if you don't like it, let's say you're on the pottery reel. If you don't like how the clay is coming out, you just smash the clay down and start all over again until it comes out the way you're seeing it, the way you're interpreting it.
Yes.
And I used to always say as a teacher, that's why pencils are made with erasers.
Yes.
Because when a mistake is made, or what could be perceived as a mistake, you
can
erase
start all
and
over
try
again.
again.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, Dr. Perry, you had mentioned that there are many places around our community to be able to be involved with, or to be able to witness art. So are there any opportunities in the community for students who want to be involved in the arts that you would recommend?
Let's start with the Treasure Coast Youth Symphony. That's a wonderful place for students that are in band or in orchestra, and it's geared toward youth. We have some community bands, Port St. Lucie Community Band. It's a wonderful opportunity for high school musicians to meet older musicians like myself and play in an ensemble with them. We mentioned the Summer Musical Theater Project, that we have Indian River State College band program that's there, drama program that's there, and they bring in different kinds of performances that a student can be exposed to and or participate in, also with the theaters like the Sunrise Theater here, there's summer programs, and they also sponsor some performances for students during the year that teachers can take advantage of in field trips.
Those are my favorite field trips as a teacher, because you're just going to such a beautiful place and then watching something beautiful on the stage. It's magic all around. So I know when we think of like competitions, we normally think sports. But I also know
Yes,
that
it's a
artists, right, being an artist, are there ways for artists to compete?
Well, I believe that competition is only healthy for those who like to compete. But when you think about someone in the arts, it's like you put me on stage, put the spotlight on me, and I'm going to give you a performance that's second to none. So students, when we do a juried art show, yes, they're being critiqued and judged. But again, that's a part of them showing their work. Again, that leads to one of the areas for the arts seal for the state. We have some music programs that go to competitions as a part of getting ready for music performance assessments, where they're again rated superior, excellent, good, fair, whatever the case may be, and they do place in those. So yes, we do have some of those competitive types of opportunities for students.
Oh, I love it.
Competition breeds something in
It's
in a
only
person.
healthy for those who like to compete.
Okay.
I would prefer to just perform.
Okay. Okay.
That's a good way to look at it.
That is. So what are the benefits of children being involved in any arts program?
As I mentioned to you earlier, let's think about what research tells us about students that participate in the arts. Higher test scores, high cognitive skills, they learn teamwork through collaboration. Again, those are all life skills that they need. When we think about a kid being able to analyze a piece of artwork, or when they listen to a performance, being able to distinguish what makes it a good a band, choir, or what they could work on when they begin to reason that way. When we think about music, it's a lot of foreign language that is a part of the music world. So they may not be speaking Spanish, which is one of the ones that we push, but there's a lot of French and Italian in that vernacular as well. So I think, again, being exposed to the arts and what it brings down the line, lifelong, applicable. I like to think that we're creating the audience of the future so that our kids will always have someone to go listen to them play Bravo, Bravo, Encore, Encore. And it's a wonderful part of society when we think about even this building had to be drawn by someone. So it is applicable, the art, how it fits into
Really everywhere.
Everything.
all parts, aspects of life.
Now, how do art projects connect with what students are learning in other subject areas? You had started to touch on that with even just the building around us.
Yes, yes.
So how does that happen?
So one of the most recent things that we can, when we think about Hamilton, nothing but history.
Right.
Nothing but history.
Oh, yeah.
Told through rap,
Right.
song, and dance. I think I mentioned to you earlier that in kindergarten, kids doodle.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's art.
Yes.
There's a lot of moving, that's dance. There's a lot of singing, that's music. And there's a lot of pretending, which is drama.
Oh, yeah.
So we use music, art, dance, and theater as instructional strategies, but we tend to take them away as they get older. But they're very applicable to learning. We talked about somebody drew the plans for this building. In my world, it's art. You go through life, and you just think about how the arts play a part of your life. We walk around, I'm singing in the building and don't even know I'm singing. We're moving. So they're just a part of who we are as a people and a part of our learning environment from day one.
I love that you touched on kindergarten because that's all day long. I felt like what we were doing was arts. And when my last school that I taught at, kindergarten, was cast, and so it was a very art-focused school, and we did arts integration all the time, and we would learn about flowers and the different parts of a flower, but then look at pictures, portraits of Frida Kahlo, and connect where do we see the stem, where are the petals, and then make different flower crowns or different activities with flowers, and then go garden. It was just always bringing in all parts of, we talked about science, then we looked at art, and then we went outside and tried to see art in real life. So yeah, it's just everything you need to know.
In kindergarten.
In kindergarten.
Yeah, that's what we learned. Just think about a student's opportunity, instead of taking a pencil and paper test, to recreate theatrically through drama for their assessment. Or when we use picture boxes to tell a scene or to rewrite an ending.
Right.
To a story that.
Yeah.
Art is so important. And we know because of that, it really helps with students' confidence and their self-worth. How does art encourage one's confidence?
Well, when we think about self-confidence, these activities are powerful tools for a sense of accomplishment. They are a safe place for a constructive outlet for students to learn about themselves, their emotions, and it's also a way to communicate their thoughts with others.
Oh, absolutely. Well, with all that confidence and that ability of feeling good about themselves, it connects to these passions for their future. So are there any careers, we kind of touched upon it, if you're drawing pictures for buildings or, being an artist themselves, but what careers could students look forward to if they're passionate in the arts?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say they can be an arts teacher.
Oh, yes.
Music, art, dance, or drama.
We have lots.
We have lots of them in St. Lucie Public Schools, a very arts-rich school district. Here's something cool about St. Lucie Public Schools. We start every one of our school board meetings with some type of performance by our students. I don't know where that happens, but it's been happening here basically since I've been here. There's a performance. But we also live in Florida, which it lends itself to a plethora of opportunities where music, art, dance, and drama are utilized for profession. We've already mentioned being an architect, but let's think about Disney,
Oh, absolutely.
Busch Gardens, SeaWorld. They have theatrical performances, which require for the actor, the actress, but also for the lighting, for the sound, for the you have dancers. I remember there used to be at Universal the explosion dancers, and they were fantastic. And so the passion that students have, Disney still has a band. So when we think about music, art, dance, and drama right here in Florida,
We have so many opportunities.
so many opportunities for you to utilize those skills for as a career.
Absolutely.
When you even think about this show coming together, from the lighting and everything else, when you think about
It's
that
all
in the
art.
school, from the TV productions that people bring the morning show to, all of that is the arts alive
Absolutely.
in each and every school. And
Well, yeah, we are. I'm so thankful for having you. Obviously, we feel very passionate about the arts. We know that you do as
Very
well.
much.
And you shared some amazing information for our families. So we're so thankful for you for joining us today. And as always, our information is going to be shared on our website. So families, please check it out. If you've missed anything, St. Lucie Public School website is the place to go.
yes, and families, we thank Dr. Perry for sharing his expertise. And once again, Rebecca, we have had a great
I know.
show. We want to say a very special thank you again to Dr. Perry. And if you have missed any of our shows, please tune in to the WLX Horizon app to watch it, catch up, and feel connected. Check out St. Lucie Public Schools' social media outlets and our homepage for our next show. Next month, we are dedicating our show to something special, so you need to tune in to be connected.
Remember, all families matter in St. Lucie Public Schools.